Council member, I did see you joined earlier. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Um, yeah, I wanted to just kind of go through uh, the agenda here. Now we are at the roll call. Kennedy will call your name. So when she does call your name, please unmute, state your name, and where you are coming from today. Thank you. Kennedy?
Sorry about that, guys. I guess I was still muted. One more time. Chair Damon.
Yes, this is Zach Damon, Chairman of the Commission on Disability Issues. I'm coming to you today from Ann Arbor, Michigan, Washtenaw County.
Thank you. Vice Chair Keeler.
I'm Vice Chair Keeler, and I'm coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the comfort of my couch.
Thank you. Commissioner Mozak.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Commissioner Kathleen Mozak, calling in from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Solomon. Commissioner Hawkins. Commissioner Poster.
Hello, I'm Debbie Poster, and I'm calling from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Gossage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Alex Gossage, Commissioner, calling in from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Commissioner Ratcliffe.
Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. This is Commissioner Ratcliffe calling in from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Packard.
Commissioner Packard coming to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I have about a 10-minute appointment. I will have to get to at some point during the meeting, but I will be here throughout otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Chambers.
Alina Chambers, Commissioner, calling in from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Thank you. Commissioner Buis.
Hi, Commissioner Lori Buis, calling from Ann Arbor.
And Commissioner, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, Ackenbar?
Yeah, Sam Aikenbauer here. You can say it however you
Aikenbauer.
want.
Thank you. Aikenbauer. Okay. I'm going to
yeah.
get it right one of these days, Sam. So,
Okay.
Commissioner Aikenbauer.
Yeah, Sam Aikenbauer here, coming from downtown Ann Arbor.
Thank you. Councilmember Gadsy Edwin.
Hi, everyone. Councilmember Ghazi Edwin, calling in from Ann Arbor.
All right. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Kennedy. We have a quorum. Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody is braving the weather here. April showers do indeed bring May flowers, and glad to see that we got through that little downpour here. Next, I wanted to see if there was anyone on for public comment. Please know publicly that if you do would like to make a public comment, you do have 3 minutes, and please feel free to call 877-853-5247 or 888-788-0099. And then you can enter meeting ID 919-8673-1455. Kennedy, do we have anyone on for public comment at this time?
I do not see anyone on the call for public comment. Is there anyone here at this time here to make a public comment? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, no public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have the approval of today's meeting agenda. I did want to propose just one quick adjustment to today's agenda. Councilmember Edwin will have to jump to a town hall meeting, if that's correct, later today. So I would like to move her up in the agenda today, if we can, to move her to after the Parks ADA Transportation Plan presentation, so that council member may give her update before she departs the meeting. Is there discussion on that, or is there a motion to adjust today's agenda?
Hello, this is
I would move to approve the adjustment.
Okay. Go ahead.
To second the agenda with the update that you just talked about.
Thank you, Kathleen. So, all right, Larry moves to approve the agenda with the move of Councilmember Edwin giving her report after the Parks and Recreation report. Larry seconds that agenda adjustment. All in favor of the agenda with the updated item, please unmute and say aye.
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 Aye. Great. Thank you. So just to be clear, Councilmember Edwin will give their report after Parks and Recreation does their presentation. Thank you.
Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have the approval of the meeting minutes from March 20. That has been sent in the agenda, and there is an opportunity to view that now. Didn't know if anybody had any edits or amendments to those minutes from March 20, or is there a motion to approve those minutes at this time? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 20. Is there a second?
I second
I'll
it.
second.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Poster seconds. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from March 20, please unmute and say aye.
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 Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. The meeting minutes from March have been approved. Next, we're moving to our special presentation portion of today's meeting. And so I'm very excited to welcome the City of Ann Arbor Parks Department. They are going to be presenting in the ADA transition plan that they've worked very, very hard for, and we are very excited that they will be presenting today. Please note that the presentation was sent to the commission for us to all review and have that. But at this point, I would like to give the floor to the City of Ann Arbor Parks Department. Welcome.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone, for having us here today. My name is Adam Furco. I am the park planner for the Parks Department, one of the two, and I was the project manager for this. With me, I also have Josh Landefeld, who's our parks manager. I have Sarah Stewart, who is one of our recreation supervisors, and she's our new parks ADA liaison. So she'll be the point of contact for ADA and accessibility issues for parks. And I also have Jesus Lardizabal. He's from Altura Solutions, and they were our consultant helping us through this process. So what I want to do is just a quick overview of how we got here, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jesus to kind of run through the transition plan and what we learned. And then after that, we can have some question and answers, and we'll do our best to help out. So I've been in front of you a few times now.
Excuse me, Adam, do you mind sharing your screen of the presentation? I do not see it. Thank you.
Jesus has that, so Chewy, do you want to share that?
Yeah, I don't see where I can share it. I don't see the option for sharing. Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and get it started.
Thank you.
So my presentation, or what I'm talking about, will be before the presentation, but we'll have this up there so everyone can see it. Yeah, so I've been here a few times now in front of you. If you recall, back in May of 2022 is when we started down this path. And our transition plan at that point was to do a study of accessibility and ADA in 20 of our parks and facilities. After talking with this group and around, we expanded that to cover all of our parks and facilities within the Parks Department. So our transition plan will cover all of that. We expanded it to programs and services and activities, which Jesus will talk about coming up. So our scope expanded significantly as we went into this. We held 3 different community engagement efforts, including a survey, a webinar, and an in-person meeting. We've had draft plans that we've reviewed and gone over with our team and different people in the city. We are at a point where we have our final ADA transition plan now. We went to our Parks Advisory Commission last month, where they recommended approval to City Council. We are here in front of you today to share what we found. And then we will be going to City Council. Right now, we're on the May 20th agenda. So we will be presenting there and seeking to pass a resolution for this ADA transition plan. You know, even though it's not passed yet, we've learned a great deal and we've already used our transition plan in several projects. I know some of them ranging from the Argo universal access design that we did with our restrooms and at the livery. I've been using it for our new Bicentennial Park, which was Southeast Area Park. So we've been able to kind of pick up all of our accessibility issues there. Tracy Bird was hired as our accessibility coordinator from the city. That really stemmed from this plan. And then Sarah's role, Sarah Stewart, as our ADA liaison for parks. These are all things that have already kind of come out of this plan, and we're really excited to see where this goes. As it helps us kind of, it gives us direction moving forward for a lot of our projects. We also just published on our website, on the Parks and Recreation website, there is an accessibility page where in there you'll find all of the appendices and the report itself, it's quite large and extensive. So I would encourage everyone to take a look at all of that information. It's really nice, but we have that out there for the public so everyone can see it. So with that, I would like to hand it off to Jesus for his presentation on our transition plan.
Thank you, Adam. And I'll be covering in a little bit more detail a lot of what Adam mentioned, but you know, I'll cover some of the same ground and add some detail as we go. So just a quick overview of the project or a presentation. We'll be talking about what an ADA transition plan is. I know I might be preaching to the choir, but we'll go over it. We'll talk about the process that we went through to perform the self-evaluation, the public engagement, and how we came to develop the final document. And then the findings and recommendations. And finally, we'll talk about what the Parks Department is doing now to implement the recommendations of the transition plan. So as a background for the transition plan, Title II of the ADA says that government agencies such as the City of Ann Arbor must conduct a self-evaluation of both facilities and program services and activities. The ADA also wants the government entity to gather public input, to outline the methods to remove any barriers that are identified, develop a schedule to achieve compliance, and then designate a person responsible for implementation. That's just big picture of what an ADA transition plan is. But in essence, it's a snapshot in time of the Parks Department's infrastructure. And then we basically create a document that helps the Parks Department transition from where they currently are into program accessibility within the ADA. So the self-evaluation process, we looked at facilities, and our effort was to identify barriers. So we only captured barriers that we saw. We assessed about 160 facilities, all types of parks or all types of facilities that are owned by the Parks Department. We collected data using a digital application, which I'll show you here in a minute. We identified barriers. These barriers are identified and are geolocated, so you can find them on a map. And there are photos for each non-compliant barrier that we found. So here is a quick showing of the application that we used. And this is just a sample from another project, but we would go out, and as soon as we found a barrier, we would take an image, and it would tell us where it was in the lobby, the main lobby. We would geolocate it, so it would tell us where this barrier is found. Then we do a pull down menu and we would look for the element, in this case, doors. Then we find the next element, in this case, it's hardware. And since it's a doorknob, it is not compliant. We would, it then auto-populates what the finding is, and then we would put in commentary, like it's one knob, it requires twisting and pinching, it is not compliant. So we added in some commentary. The software auto-populates various fields and standards, and then that's it. We have a data point. And so we went around the facilities and captured, I would say, thousands of data points across all the facilities that we reviewed. Then we also looked at the department's programs, services, and activities, or we refer to as PSAs. And a PSA is basically anything that the department provides, from rental of facilities to running of sports leagues. Those are all PSAs. We interviewed staff to get a feel for the PSAs that are offered. And we looked at all 13 divisions within the department. We also developed a checklist for staff to use so that as we move forward and the city adds or deletes PSAs, they can run this analysis on their own. As part of the project, we did public input. As Adam mentioned, we hosted various virtual and in-person public meetings. As you can see here, we did virtual and in-person. And in both, we collected data from a survey. And we also posted the survey online, which people could go and fill out the information. We then took that input and helped create priorities. So with that input, it factored into prioritization of facilities and elements within facilities. So the actual transition plan that we developed, we produced several drafts, which we would show the city, and the city would then comment on those drafts and our not on the findings, but on our recommendations. The ADA transition plan, now that it's complete, meets ADA Title II requirements. We believe that it enhances the existing programs and services. It creates accessibility and facilitates inclusion. It also complements other departmental facilities, such as the A2 Pros plan, which looks at overall how the department uses its infrastructure. And we believe it's a benefit to the community and can be used and implemented moving forward. So staff training, as part of our scope, we provided training to staff. And we were delighted that the department basically made it mandatory for all departmental staff to attend. We sometimes work with cities where we just get certain people to attend, but here everybody attended. And some of the topics that we discussed are shown here. We had great dialogue as we provided this training. What we find is that sometimes there's misconceptions or just a perspective that we need to tweak. But we were very pleasantly surprised that staff was very open to the training and to these discussions that we had about accessibility. So findings and recommendations, we produced reports of findings for each facility. And as Adam mentioned, it's contained within the report. The findings are, again, a snapshot of compliance where we stood at the time that we were there. And already things are changing as projects move forward and things are altered. It's already moving forward towards accessibility. And these reports can be used for future planning, for future projects, and for grant applications. Adam mentioned how some of these reports are already playing a role as projects are being designed and can be used almost as a checklist of, well, if you're going to be at this facility doing these things, here's a list of things that you can do to address accessibility as well.
Okay.
Some of the recommendations was to appoint an ADA coordinator, which, as Adam mentioned, has been done. And this was done at the city level, not just at the departmental level, although the department also appointed a lead liaison, as was mentioned, Sarah. And we have also participated in training with both the citywide and departmental ADA coordinators, and have one more training session to go and to complete that. But we feel that you have great candidates or great people in the positions, and are up to speed on the standards and are very passionate about what they do. So we feel very good about that. We established an ADA grievance procedure, and discussions with the city based on current funding cycles. We believe that compliance can be achieved over 30 years or within 30 years. The city has committed, or the department has committed of over $19 million to complete these projects. And 19 million, that's in today's dollars, not extrapolated over 30 years. And some of these recommendations, include things that are maintenance, and others will require full redesign and construction of facilities. So the progress, as we've mentioned, the plan was approved by PAC in March. It goes to City Council, and we expect approval in May. Staff has been able to take the plan and move forward with some of the projects that you see here: the Barton Nature Area, Accessible Trail, Argo was mentioned earlier by Adam, the Bicentennial Park improvements, Almendinger Park sidewalks, and as we mentioned already, there's the city hired an accessibility coordinator, which then is also helping the Parks Department with implementation of the transition plan. So that was a quick overview of what we've done in the past. It made it seem like we did it overnight, but it took a lot of time and effort to get us to this point. But we believe the department's in good hands and has a document that they can implement. They have the staff that we believe can implement it. So we look forward to hearing how the plan progresses and how the Parks Department makes Ann Arbor more accessible. So with that, thank you in advance, and thank you for your time, and we'll open it up to any questions.
Chair Damon.
Hi, yes, and Jose, thank you so much for that detailed presentation. Really want to give Parks and Rec, as well as Altera Solutions, a big shout out for all of their work there, and I agree. Very excited for the work that our city ADA coordinator is doing an outstanding job in terms of being enthusiastic and really leaning into the position there. You did mention earlier in your presentation about surveys that staff would be taking periodically. Do you mind touching a little bit more on that and what those surveys will entail?
Oh, so the surveys that we discussed were surveys that were part of the public input process. So we at the open houses and virtually, we had posted surveys so people could give us their priorities. So for example, somebody could log in and say, my number one priority is Argo, and then list them that way. Or people could also say, my biggest priority is parking. I want accessible parking, and so forth. And then we took that data and helped create priorities within the document. So those were the surveys that I meant by that.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilmember Ghazi Edwin.
Hi, this is Aisha. I also just want to echo, Chair Damon's sentiments about just how thankful I am that you guys really made this such a thorough process, and thank, Tracy Bird and other staff that were involved. And I'm really excited to see these changes go into effect. So I just want to thank staff.
Chair Damon.
Sorry, one more question for all of you, since we've got you on the line. you mentioned the Bicentennial Park. I know, at least from my perspective, that park is currently also looking for external funding in terms of other restoration and things of that sort in terms of that project. Is restoration for the Bicentennial Park is that part of that 19 million or no?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. So as we started developing that project, what we did, so it was formerly Southeast Area Park. And what we did is we were able to get kind of a preview of the report and see all the findings. So we were able to work with our engineers and architects to, part of it is redesigning and renovating the restrooms. So currently we're going to be doubling the size of the restrooms and then making sure everything's ADA compliant. There were some pavilion upgrades as part of that, and those will be included in that. Making sure we'll be redoing all of the sidewalks to make sure we have proper slopes to get rid of everything out there. Our parking lots, those are scheduled to be redone as part of this as well. Right now they're in terrible shape. They're not accessible. Adding in, there was like curb ramps, things like that from the parking lot into the sidewalks. So yeah, all of those will be picked up as part of this project. Right now, as it stands, I think the only element that won't be touched for the Bicentennial is there's an existing tot playground that's closer to the road. And that one itself is due for replacement in the next 4 years. So we expect from Bicentennial, I would say probably 80 to 90% of it is picked up. And then in the next 4 years, we will pick up the rest of that. And that's included in that amount that we would be working towards. And so I don't know if Jesus mentioned this, but we have to supply regular reports to the DOJ showing progress. And so this is something that we can say we are making that progress towards it and checking things off as we're going through and taking care of those.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ratcliffe?
Just want to echo, thank you for undertaking this. I know that it's a very large undertaking, especially with the amount of evaluation that had to be done. I guess my question is, you said $19 million over the next 30 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
In terms of deciding which projects take priority, is it like ones that are the most out of compliance, or a combination of that, as well as like parks that kind of already needed restoration?
Yeah, I think it's both. There are projects that we have to do to maintain a level of service for the community, things that we have to do. And so it's making sure that those are paired up with the priority, the plans for the parks and the prioritization list from this plan. So I think it's balancing that and then seeing where the needs are based on these. So I do think it's both of them. And then one thing, so the 19 million that we're spending, I mean, we have to find funding for a lot of this. And so in these first couple years, as we really get going, it's a lot of the lower lying fruit and trying to pair with projects that have already been on our books and on our table for a while. And then as we start to transition into doing other parks in the future. But at the first few years here, we see it's what can we do, the simple things that don't require as much funding, and pairing with our existing projects. In addition to this project, we are also starting what's called an asset management plan for our parks. And we're having consultants come in and give us a picture of the condition of all park assets, facilities, nature areas, everything that we own. And it will tell us kind of an end of a life. When do we need to replace it? What are some things we can do to improve it right now? And we see this ADA transition plan being put into that model to really help us understand what projects we need to get to, what are the priorities, how can we kind of pair this work up with other works. So it's kind of a balancing act, but it's one that we're trying to work through as we go towards it. Did that answer your question?
It did. I I appreciate the more detailed explanation. It made sense to me to do it in combination. But wow, like just it's a huge undertaking, and so thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Member Gabrielle, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question?
It wasn't really a question, it's more of a comment. And Josh, I should touch base with you on this. I do have a potential funding update for Bicentennial Park where Felicia Brayback and I discussed it, and she would like to put in $1 million earmark. So it is her second item on her list, but there's a strong chance that it will be funded. And I'll just touch base with you more continually so that you can also let me know, other parks that may need funding as well.
No, we greatly appreciate that, and please do. And it gives me an opportunity to just jump in and say thank you for having us here today. This has been a huge undertaking that Adam and Chewy have done, and it really, my goal for the Parks Department is to truly ensure that we are accessible and inclusive of all residents in Ann Arbor. So this ensures us. We know we have a lot of work to do, and it'll take some time, but we're reminded every day of the things that we need to do to ensure that inclusivity. So we appreciate your support with this, and we'll continue to keep coming back. We can give you updates every couple of years, do some stuff with it. I believe in having partnerships with our organization. So just wanted to say thank you for having us.
Josh, thank you. And on that point, as you guys continue to raise funds or, need outreach in terms of the ADA accessibility plan with the parks, I don't speak for the full commission on this, and I want all commissioners to be unified in this, but please, let us know if we can help spread the word on that. If there are flyers, if there are things that we can put out at our info table, things that we can tell the community about to have the community support the ADA accessibility plan with the parks. We want to be able to be an ally for that, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Parks and Recreation at this time? Alrighty. With that, we're going to move to our updated agenda item, which is the council report with Council Member Ghazi Edwin. So the City Council update. Council Member.
Thank you so much. This is Aisha. So I have a few things that I just want to touch on quickly. And thank you again for accommodating me earlier in the agenda. Maybe we can start with, we talked previously about the potential need for an educational campaign so that the public is aware that people with disabilities that are potentially using mobility devices or otherwise are also able to use bike lanes, and the need to also ensure that sidewalks are cleared because it's an access issue. So Alex Gossage and myself today met with our Director of Transportation, Raymond Hess. And essentially we agreed that there would be kind of a soft launch of an educational campaign where they're going to promote this information on social media and integrate it into any of their workshops that may have to do with roads or otherwise. And if there is a need for something greater, then there'll be a budget requirement, and that's where I could come in and potentially request something if needed. Alex, do you want to contribute anything to this?
I don't know that there's necessarily anything else to add, but it was a good conversation overall. I appreciate the opportunity to start something now versus later, and again, focus on access issues for all of us in the community in all facets. So really happy we were able to do it, and I appreciate your support in making that happen, Aisha.
Oh yeah, of course. So, there's a few other things I want to it's currently the budget process. So if all of you don't know, The city administrator shared his budget with us on Monday, and now there is $1 million that's left over for council to make recommendations. One of the things that I am working on is creating a housing list. It'll be a searchable database that will include all of our private and public rental housing, along with different features, such as accessibility features. It'll be searchable, again, public facing for all residents. And it's something that we have in Detroit, which my organization helped, Detroit Disability Power, helped to help the city of Detroit to get up, and it's called Detroit Home Connect. So I'm working with the building department to get some estimations on the cost of software and staff. And then I will be submitting it along with a resolution. And this is something that has been asked by several organizations, disability organizations and advocates in Washtenaw County, because, you know, a lot of our organizations also help to place people in housing. And when there isn't publicly available information about this level of access, it can make it even more difficult. I'll periodically update you guys on that. I may need some help with writing a resolution. Does anyone have any questions about it?
Chair Damon?
Yes, council member, first of all, outstanding to hear. I think, you know, an Ann Arbor Housing Connect or some sort of, you know, variation of that would be outstanding, especially considering, you know, how many properties there are in Ann Arbor, how many continue to be developed in different things. I just foresee that being, in my opinion, a huge resource for the community and for the city of Ann Arbor. As far as the resolution goes, you know, happy to assist in any way. So, you know, please keep myself informed of that and any others that that express interest in assisting.
Okay, great. Thank you. And it will be, you know, it'll be a database that also, you know, including featuring access information of units. Residents will be able to search housing by income and family size and all these different variables. So I'll keep you all updated on that. I'm also hoping to propose a resolution. There is increased funding that is going to be given to our roads department next year for specifically snow management, because snow was a big issue this year.
Oh, Councilmember Gazielin, there were a few other people who had their hands up.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Commissioner Ratcliffe?
This is it, we're asking solely about the housing list, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's coming from the $1 million. Is that the $1 million that was a part of the marijuana excise tax money? And
yeah, it is.
And so then are the current programs then having to reapply for that $1 million? And so this would be a part of, it would be competing with that perhaps?
Well, potentially, you know, I've talked internally with council members, and our top priority is the Rising Hope program that was championed by Councilmember Harrison. It's going to be a part-time temporary staff to set this database up, and a software that we already have, but we're going to get like an expanded license. So it should not compete with the other programs. And I'm unsure, besides of Rising Hope, what else is planning to be reapplied for at this time.
Yeah, because I know like one of them, it sounded like it was kind of a one-time thing. So, but anyway, if you need help with the resolution, I'm around.
Okay, yeah, that would be really helpful. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Gossett, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question?
No, I think I just got my question answered. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Chair Damon?
Yeah, one final comment. You know, I just wanted to make it, I just wanted to mention this to the full commission, council member, if you don't mind, but I also hope that out of that 1 million that, you know, there can be a possibility down the line at some point for, you know, possible funds for our activities as the commission. You know, I believe our commission is making you know, a great contribution to our community. And as a great voice and as a great resource, not only for the community, but to the city. And I just hope that the city can see that that our commission can benefit from a little bit of watering and a little bit of nurturing with some allocation there from some of those funds. So as that comes about, please keep our commission in mind in terms of whether it's using those funds for different materials, for info tables, whether that's for transit to different events, and many other different things. And I can you and I can talk more about that, but I just wanted to mention that publicly to the full commission, that I am doing my best to ensure that our commission is supported in some way, hopefully with some of those funds. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair Damon. Yeah, you and I did talk about this earlier, and I do plan to put in a resolution asking for 2.5 thousand, so 2,500, because I do think that there are activities that require accessibility. We have some accessibility needs, making sure CARD and ASL and whatnot, transportation, and also community engagement. So I am going to be putting that in.
Commissioner Ratcliffe?
I guess it's kind of paired together. At the presentation, the city administrator mentioned that there was an extra 125,000 this year. And so just to piggyback off of what Commissioner Damon said, could any of that go towards CODI, even if it's just a one-time deal for this year to start it off? Because another issue isn't just, to me, it isn't just, the need for ASL and CARD or tabling materials, but, it would have been really nice to me if our chairman here had been able to go to DC, was it last week, for the convening that happened on behalf of the city of Ann Arbor and CODI. And I think that there are some really important conferences and events that if sending him or our vice chair too could really benefit the commission and the city itself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There is going to be a part of the budget that's increased around. Yeah, I will think about this creatively. That is a very good point. I'm also wondering if it can be included as part of another aspect of the budget that isn't explicitly about commissions right now, but potentially could be. So thanks for raising that. And I'm going to submit a budget question clarifying about the 125,000.
Thank you.
Yep. So thanks for reminding me of that. The other thing that I am going to be working on is, so increased funding is being given to snow plowing next year. And I want to submit a resolution saying that special attention needs to be made to more frequent plowing of basically accessibility features. So curb cuts and accessible parking spaces, ensuring that aisles are clearly visible, ramps, as well as other things. That is something that I will need all of your guys' help on. So what resolutions do is they direct staff attention, and it's basically resources. So I hope to submit that as well. So those are the three things. It's CODI budget, housing list, and snow management and accessibility plan. Then some other things that I should mention, April was declared as National Fair Housing Month with a focus on the number of complaints. It's the highest number of complaints for housing issues are from people with disabilities. And in June, I plan to submit a proclamation for Disability Pride Month. And I'm not sure yet if we have thought about as a commission some sort of activity. Obviously, having a budget would make it easier, right? I know the Disability Caravan is something that's moving through the nation right now. And Alex was involved in, working with them about them coming through a park. But just keep that in mind. And if you have ideas for something the city could do to celebrate Disability Pride Month, let me know. Did I previously update all of you about right to sit?
Council member, this is Chair Damon. I believe you mentioned it briefly, but please, if you don't mind just touching on it once more, I think that would be beneficial.
Sure. So currently there is no law that allows people the right to sit when they're working. It used to be federally protected until about 1970, but it no longer is. And so now cities by cities are enacting ordinances or hopefully state law, right? Our state laws do not protect it. And I was told it was potentially preempted. So the state had a law that blocked us from making any sort of changes at a local level to, of course, employment, right? And businesses. But I got a legal opinion. And in fact, it's not preempted. So Ann Arbor can pursue this. And I had a group of hairstylists contact me who have disabilities and are wanting to cut hair while seated, but their jobs are being threatened. So I want to let you guys know that I'm in the works of creating that and organizing. And if you all support something like that, I mean, I'm sure you do, or know people to support, there will be a date in the future that I'll give where it will be important for community members to call in or show up.
Absolutely. Thank you, council member. Oh,
Yeah.
Commissioner Packard?
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you're doing with that, and especially if with that movement moving forward, if there's anything we can do to help raise support for that. I don't know if petitions need to be signed or just anything to get that word out. Glad to help.
Yeah, anything that increases exposure, because then that helps to kind of put that pressure. So if it's a petition or anything like, Ann Arbor for the right to sit, that's always helpful, as I don't expect to have a lot of businesses pushing back, but honestly, you never know when it comes to the business community. And in general, you never know. So yeah, anything to uplift it is appreciated. I think there is one last, I apologize. I know this is kind of dragging on. So my organization, Detroit Disability Power, in conjunction now with the Carter Center and Michigan Voices, which is a statewide progressive organization, we've been doing these audits of polling locations, auditing them for accessibility. And previously, we were just focused on Detroit. But it has now become something that the Secretary of State is interested in, and they're helping us, and we're helping them. And we've expanded this to Washtenaw and Ann Arbor. And we will be doing it during the 90s of early voting and on election day during the general and the primary. But the 90s of early voting is when it's really important, specifically the first day, so that we can give people time to make corrections, right? We are trying to work on getting a relationship with the School of Social Work so that students can help with the audits. But I want to put the information here because if any of you are interested in volunteering or know people, that would be a really important asset for us. So I can share more information as it gets closer. Okay, thank you so much. That's it for me. Oh, I see some questions.
Commissioner Chambers?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to say I think that sounds like such an amazing idea. And if there's anything I can do to support, I know you said you wanted to get students in the School of Social Work involved. I'm a student in the School of Social Work, so if there's anything that I can do to help with getting other students involved, I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, that would be great. I think talking to other students and spreading the word, but also I know the school right now is focusing on doing like a big GOTV project. So bringing that up to faculty in charge of that would be great. And I've also contacted them. But thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Commissioner Ratcliffe?
It's about one of the first things that you mentioned. I know that it was really about the bike lanes, and you had brought up sidewalks, and that reminded me that I don't know what it's like in other wards around the city, but in Ward 3, we're having a lot of, in certain parts of Ward 3, we're having a lot of the grocery store carts left on the sidewalks, including the curb cut areas and the areas in front of bus stops, which are really impeding the pathway for if someone uses a wheelchair.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry, I just said right. No, I see it all the time. You're right.
Yeah, and I know like in my particular neighborhood, we do have someone who's blind and uses a cane when walking around the neighborhood, and it's a high concern.
Yeah.
I don't know what can be done. Like I've reported it on C-Click Fix, but it's like every day I see one and throughout the area now.
That's a really, really good concern that we didn't bring up with Raymond today. But if you could write me an email, then I will forward it to Raymond so that, you know, it's documented and he can see it. And just to kind of say in the short term, is there something that we can do? And also in your website that he's going to draft up, would be, you know, putting it on the website, share the sidewalk and roads and bike lanes responsibly. And in information on social media and in town halls that you also integrate like things like, you know, shopping carts.
Yeah.
But in terms of an immediate solution, it might be something that community standards could get involved in potentially, like actually help to move, but I have to think more about that.
Yeah, they've moved them like several days later sometimes.
Yeah.
And
right.
so thank
So
you.
sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Oh no, I was just saying thank you.
Oh
sure.
yeah, no, and thank you for raising that to my attention. So yeah, that is really, it's an issue, and if you could write to me about it and to my council email, and then I will forward it as like a what can be done immediately, and can you integrate this into the long-term strategy?
Vice
Great.
Chair Keeler, you have your hand raised.
Commissioner Keeler, you might be on mute, sir. All right.
That's it for me, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Packard, you have your hand up.
Oh yeah, Zach, I appreciate what you brought up about funding with you know, any Cody related programs moving forward. And I know we've discussed over the last couple of months visual accessibility features such as the Patriot in various areas that could use a device, and that might be something we can discuss possibly with any funding that might come up. So I just thought I'd kind of wedge that word in there and mention that while we were discussing. But thank you, Zach, for what you had mentioned.
Thank you, Rob. Council member?
I'm sorry to keep talking. Could you guys write me that? Because what I'm doing right now is I'm going to draft a budget justification email, and I want to list out everything that the money would be used for, conferences, et cetera, et cetera. So if someone could just send me that, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. I was planning on actually drafting the document, but you know, Commissioner Ratcliffe or Commissioner Packard, if both of you would like to be shared that document as I drafted in the next couple of days, I'm happy to share it with you, and maybe it can be kind of a working document, and then maybe by the end of the week we send it off to Councilmember Edwin. How do we feel about that?
Great teamwork, my friend. Yeah.
That'd be great. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Okay.
Vice Chair Keeler, you still have your hand up? Can you hear us now, or are you able to speak?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yep. Oh, good. You can hear me because I was trying a different speaker, which I was listening to because I didn't have to, and it didn't, apparently when I went to unmute it, didn't want to register, but okay. And I can also talk to the Transportation Commission about what could be done about the sidewalks this evening as well. That was just my comment.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keeler. We do appreciate it. Thank you, Council Member, for that amazing report. I'd like to move forward in our agenda with the presentation for the Washington Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled with Katie Monkevich. Katie, thank you so much for your patience, and good afternoon.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me, and everything's been so interesting to listen to. So it's a pleasure to be here and hear about all of the planning that's going on. It's very cool. So happy to sit through it. I do have some upcoming events at the library to tell you about. Of course, first, right now I am currently planning for Visions, so that's what I'll be talking about for a little bit here. We have Visions 2024 coming up on June 5th. That is from 11 to 4 p.m. It's a Wednesday at the downtown library. This is a vendor fair that features a variety of exhibitors who will demonstrate the latest products and services for the blind, visually impaired, and physically disabled. Things like electronic readers, magnifiers, support services for the blind, braille devices, library services, CCTVs, leader dogs, and transportation services are just a few of the many outstanding services and products that will be on display. We also have presentations throughout the day offered on topics related to vision health services and assistive technology. We actually do have our presentation schedule. I'm going to tell you briefly about that. At 12 p.m., we have the Michigan Bureau of Services for the Blind coming to talk about their services. Then at 1 p.m., we have the AI-powered visual assistive technologies presentation from the University of Michigan Human AI Lab. I'm very excited to see that one. It should be really interesting. At 2 p.m., we'll have a technology talk by somebody you may have heard of before, JJ Mehta. He's from the AT guys. He has been at Visions in the past. And then finally,
I
we'll
know
wrap
him.
the day with a little assistive tech app roundup. Just me and some of the folks from the library talking about our favorite apps and hoping to get some feedback from other folks on theirs. So we hope that you join us, and there is a full vendor list available now on our website at aadl.org/visions. So check that out, or, give us a call if you want to hear more. We also have an exhibit going on right now. This is our Braille Enhanced Story Walk. This is actually being held out at High Point School, which is at 1735 South Wagner Road. So it's a bit of a partnership. And we put this exhibit up on April 1st, and it's going to be there until Tuesday, April 30th. So it's currently available for you to go walk through. The Braille Enhanced Story Walk features Lori Degman's book, Just Read, in both Braille and print for young readers and families to enjoy. It's an interactive exhibit. It's installed around the accessible trail at the High Point School. So it's a nice paved trail. I've been out there a couple times. It's a very beautiful place to go and hang out. And this story walk is provided to us by the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which is administered by the Library of Michigan. So we've got it on loan from them right now. We're actually hoping to do something a little bit more permanent in the future, but this is sort of our first step. So we hope that you go check it out. And then the last event I'm going to talk about is called All About Braille. This is going to be held this upcoming Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. at the downtown library and Secret Lab. And this event is actually for preschoolers to grade 5. I normally would not really promote that to you all, a group of adults, but maybe you have some kids in your life who would enjoy it. And I'm selfishly hosting this event, so I thought I'd put a little plug in. But we are inviting people to join us as we explore the Braille alphabet and other tactile means of communication. We're going to have slates with styluses to write in Braille. We've got Braille crafts. We've got tactile coloring sheets, which I'm super excited about, and lots more things to explore and dive into that Braille and tactile world. So I'm excited about that. Just featuring our materials as well as usual. Our patrons can order digital cartridges by calling us. The phone number is 734-327-4224. Call us there with any other information needs as well. Or you can always email us at wlbpd@aadl.org. We encourage folks to sign up for the Braille and audio reading service called Bard. You can download your own books. You can visit their website at nlsbard.loc.gov or just call us and we can assist with the application over the phone. A couple cool books that I found on Bard this month: Invisible Disability, Living with Macular Degeneration by Christine Marie Donmoyer. Macular degeneration affects over 8 million people in the United States. Patients lose central vision, the ability to read fine print and recognize faces. A diagnosis doesn't mean surrendering to these challenges. Instead, understanding this medical condition will help pave the way towards a better future for yourself or a loved one. Invisible Disability, Living with Macular Degeneration is uniquely written from the perspective of both a patient and scientist. Christine Donmoyer shares her journey with macular degeneration, giving a first-hand account of diagnosis, living with vision loss, and explaining how this disease affects social and emotional well-being. Your mind will open through this raw and honest story. Christine wants others to know that they are not alone in dealing with the distinct challenges of macular degeneration and offers straightforward tips on coping in every stage. Okay, and then the last one is Medgar and Merle, Medgar Evers and the Love Story That Awakened America by Joy Ann Reid. Tracing the extraordinary lives and legacy of two civil rights icons, this gripping account of Medgar and Merle Evers is told through their relationship and the work that went into winning basic rights for Black Americans and the repercussions that still resonate today. And that is all that I have for you folks. Do you have any questions or comments for me? Zach.
Hi. First of all, as always, amazing. All the things that the Ann Arbor District Library is doing. Really, really wonderful stuff. I did want to point out, and I don't want to speak for our commissioner, but we did have an inquiry for an additional volunteer at Visions. I know that there was only space on the initial application for 4 applicants, which we do have at our table. But Commissioner Buis, I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak because I wanted to let you know, number one, I saw your inquiry. I didn't forget about you. Katie, can we add Lori to our table as a registrar?
Sure, yeah. You're of course welcome to come.
Okay.
Okay, great.
And so does she have to provide you with any additional information?
Yeah, why don't you just shoot me an email with your name, and then I know that we ordered a couple of extra lunches for our vendors, so we should be good there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're
Commissioner
welcome.
Buis, do you have anything else for Katie or about Visions?
Nope.
Okay.
Cool. Excited to see you there.
Okay. Rob, you had.
Taylor?
Yep. Thank you.
I'm up. Yep. 2 things. One, I will be at Visions, and hey, does this mean if we're at the table, we get lunch too?
Yep, that's right. It's a first year ever, a little bonus for our vendors. Although I did,
nice.
I found out just today that we will have a hot dog cart selling hot dogs. So that's an
good.
We didn't have that last year. So you may want that instead of your lunch. Maybe save the lunch for the next day. I'm thinking about doing that.
I'm thinking about doing both. I get hungry.
There you go.
And I stay there a lot, so.
That's true. It's a long day.
That's interesting because last year I was going to mention that because last year you had the hamburger truck out there and they didn't take cash, and a lot of us were not very happy with that.
We got some complaints about that one with some very strong emphasis on please bring back the hot dogs. So I was so excited to get the email today that we've done that. So it should be good. Larry, I think I cut you off. Did you have something else?
Yes, there was one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Braille thing again, and when is it?
So the 2 events, the Braille Enhanced Story Walk exhibit is up at High Point School until April 30th, but the All About Braille for kids is on Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh wow! I was going to say, and where's that at? Is that at High Point too? And what time does that go from?
1 to 2.
So, all right. If you happen to need help with that or anything, if you need some help with that or need somebody, my comment was going to be, I'm very pleased that Braille is being introduced again a lot because it's becoming a lost skill amongst especially newly visually impaired individuals don't bother because of all the, you know, we can read the BARD and all that. So a lot of us, a lot of them don't. And I do know Braille quite well, and I read it. And I'm thinking if you have any, if you need any extra help with that or anything, in the next couple days, you could let me know if you choose.
Okay. Thanks for the offer.
I am volunteering. And if you don't, well, I'm still available. Done.
Okay. Well, it's very nice to know a Braille reader. That is for sure, because you're right. You're rare these days.
That's right. I've been doing it for 50 years. So
that's awesome.
Commissioner Packard?
50 years, you'll be the oldest kid there at the event, Mary. I'll be glad to join you as well. So if you're going, feel free to let me know. You almost lost me on your presentation with the invisible disability because I wanted to rush over to my BARD app and download the book right away, but I'll be recommending that to some of my friends. That sounds like a great book.
Oh, cool. And, yeah, I think so too.
Oh, yeah. Those are amazing. And just to back you up, and Larry as well, with Braille, it does sound intimidating, but I took elevator Braille, and just to find the first 10 letters of the alphabet, which correspond with the first 10 numbers, 0 through 9, you're able to do so much just knowing those first 10 symbols. So, you know, it can sound intimidating, but Braille is helpful to especially youngsters. So, yeah.
That's so cool. I've actually, you know, I've been around Braille a lot, but I don't know that I've ever heard the term elevator Braille before. So that's a really interesting concept. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. So thank you.
Oh yeah, it helps to make it less intimidating.
That's
what was
really
that, Larry?
Cool.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, and the BSBP visions. What date is that again, if you don't mind?
That is going to be on June 5th. It's a Wednesday, and the BSBP presentation is at noon.
Okay, thank you. I'd love to be there for that as well. Thank you.
Chair Damon?
Thank you so much. I just wanted to put this out to the commission, by the way. You know, I'm excited to be there, but I wanted to just let the commission know that if anyone can show up to help like physically set up our table and then be there to help physically break it down, that would be very, very helpful because the physical portion of it can be challenging to do. So if there's anyone from the commission that can help with like the physical setup of the table and all of that, that would be great. Kennedy, you and I will talk offline. I think we still have a sign and like some stuff for our table. I just want to make sure that like that's still at the city and coordinate you know, how we're going to get that, but we have a little bit of time with that. So yeah.
And we still have those trifold cards, and I think we still had Braille commission things too.
Yeah, I think we might. So I just want to make sure we have, you know, all of our stuff and then the adequate you know, help to help set up and break down the table for visions. So absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Katie. Anything else for Katie at this time?
Not for Katie, but just to say I can help with setup, but I have to leave by 2:30. So
got it. Okay. Thank you, Lori. I'll note that, and then as the event gets closer, I'll probably send a commission email just saying, hey, thank you everyone for who's willing to help set up. Are there any other commissioners who are willing to like help break down at the end of the day, things like that. I'm planning on being there most of the day, pending my schedule if anything doesn't pop up between now and Visions, but I do plan on being there most of the day, if not the entire time. Okay. Thank you, Katie, and thank you everyone at the library for all that you do.
Oh, you're so welcome, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Next, we have the report with the Disability Network, Washtenaw, Monroe, and Livingston with Andrea. Andrea.
Thank you. Happy rainy Wednesday, everybody. Wanted to just highlight a couple of things quickly. One that's coming up relatively quickly next month on Friday, May 10th, is a totally rad 90s spring fling youth and young adult dance. Be on Friday, May 10th from 6 to 8 p.m. at our Ann Arbor location. It's for youth and young adults ages 14 to 26. Along with opportunity for a parent or guardian or support person to also attend. The event is free. Registration is required. You can learn more by contacting our office, 734-971-0277, or contacting the event coordinator directly. Her name is Christina. It's KRYSTINA at dnwml.org. They can help get you registered and answer any questions you might have. And then wanted to, of course, bring to your attention that we will again this year be celebrating the 34th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. We will be doing so on the anniversary date, which is Friday, July 26th, from 3 to 7 p.m. again at our Ann Arbor location. Food, drinks, speakers, a tie-dye station, raffle items, an art exhibition, crafts, a slime station, adaptive sports, community info tables, prizes, and more. Hopefully without Mother Nature's assistance this year, since she rudely invited herself a year ago, but wanted to get that all on your calendars. And it is open house style. So again, anytime during that 4-hour block of 3 to 7 p.m. on Friday, July 26th, at our Ann Arbor office for the ADA celebration. That's all I have today for the commission, unless they have any questions.
Thank you so much. And yeah, please, Andrea and all the staff there, please keep in touch about the ADA celebration. I'm hoping that all of us on the commission can be there to support it and support it ahead of time leading up to help promote that so that there can be great attendance. I love attending that event. You guys do such a wonderful job, and I look forward to it this year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Moving on to our next report, we have the Partners in Access Committee report with Larry Keeler.
Hold up. Okay. Our report wasn't very, we had a meeting, but it was just me and, I'm sorry, but until I pronounce your name proper, I'm going to call you Commissioner Sam. Is that all right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and well, I do want to make sure I get it right. And we just discussed, there was no new updates to any of the business that's been sitting around with us with the parking areas and the Michigan Theater. We hadn't had any updates, but Commissioner Sam put forth, I gave him a brief overview of what we do as PIA, and we also so we discussed a couple of things. We discussed is an idea of getting trying to get government audits on some of the for the accessibility to make some of the government websites more accessibility. And he also proposed to make an accessible list for a lot of places that, for downtown, so you can look up, like, let's say you want to go to, the Pretzel Bell, and you want to go and see if it's accessible. You can look it up online on a website and look and see how accessible they are and that kind of thing. So if Commissioner Sam wants to talk about it, I could let him have the floor there, but that's all we've done. That's what I've got.
Yeah,
so would there be...
it's
go ahead.
Yeah, sure. No, I was just gonna say it's Commissioner Ankenbauer here. Yeah, we were just talking about this. It was an idea that I think I may have brought up the first time I was introduced to the commission about kind of creating a pretty easy like Excel spreadsheet kind of list of um, accessibility in terms of like maybe blind and low vision, deaf, hard of hearing, mobility, and other forms of accessibility, having just a kind of a master document list of different accessibility features of different businesses downtown. Maybe it could start with one street and see how it goes or something like that. And then as a document, it would be pretty easy for a person to peruse and say, okay, I was wondering if they have, hearing loops for hearing aids or assisted listening devices, or I was wondering if there was accessible seating, if I need to call ahead for accessible seating. And, it would be fine if I would be willing to, communicate with different businesses and try to set it up and maybe, have their phone numbers listed as well in case they don't have the kind of information you're looking for. You could give them a call or some such thing. That's what we were talking about, yeah.
Great. Thank you for the Partners and Access Committee. Larry and Sam, thank you for that report. Happy to assist in any way with that as you guys progress. I think that's pretty fascinating. Commissioner Radcliffe.
For this, I don't remember if they did it in Detroit, but I do think that, or I vaguely remember an organization in Grand Rapids that does this with some of the businesses there. Have you heard of them?
No, do you happen to know the name?
I don't, but I can email it to you. I was in a presentation and they had talked about it.
Is it called
Would you
Able?
email it?
Different company.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?
Is it called Able View or is that a different company?
I don't know. It was it was actually in a transportation
Okay.
presentation about something about AV
Okay.
autonomous vehicles, but the person who was speaking was from the Grand Rapids area, so I'd have to go back and look, but they had specifically discussed doing those kinds of audits.
Yeah, I thought I heard some about it too, vaguely in the wind.
Thank you. All right. Next, I'd like to move on to the next committee report. Community engagement. Kennedy, I don't believe we have Commissioner Hawkins this evening, correct?
Commissioner Hawkins is not present, so the next one would be recruiting activity.
All right, recruiting activity. Larry Keeler.
Oh, go ahead. That would be me anyway. And for the first thing, community engagement, Rachel did not appear, so I would have nothing from that I could speak to her either. And with our recruiting activity, actually, I haven't received or seen any applications come through. There really hasn't been a lot done there this month. But if anybody wants to put in an application, you can do that on. You can go to boards and commissions and find application there and put it in and we'll review it for you.
All right. Thank you, Larry. And just so you know, don't go anywhere, please, because now
I'm right here.
We have a question from Commissioner Mozak.
Oh, thank you.
Larry had mentioned that there wasn't a lot of, hi Larry, you had mentioned there wasn't a lot of recruiting work. I'm wondering, we're at full capacity or do we have an open position?
Currently, we have no open vacancies, so we are a full commission.
Thank you, Kennedy.
But then part of our recruiting activity, though, and I think this would come partly under recruiting as well, as our table at the at Visions, and I think that would come under that. And I think later on we should, whoever's going to volunteer should meet or talk and come up with when we're going to be there, when we're not going to be there, and by maybe next month we can make that a subject that we can, just so we're organized, so all of us don't show up at once and leave at once, you know?
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to infer that there should not be any activity going on. What I was trying to ask is if we run into people who are interested, it would be helpful to be able to tell them there is not currently a position, but please put your name in just in case one becomes available, rather than when we have an open one, we're a lot more like active. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to know what level of urgency did we need when we're looking at candidates. So thank you for that.
Sorry to put that something different forward. I was just since I had the opportunity, I wanted to mention the other part. So no, you're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, we have the Transportation Commission update with Larry Keeler.
And I was there, but I don't have a lot on there because a lot of it was reports. But we did talk about resurfacing, especially Page Street, which I'm not exactly sure where it's at, but I think it's off of Packard somewhere. But they were talking about researching Page Avenue, resurfacing it, and making it, you know, putting some things in there like speed bumps and whatnot to slow down traffic going through that area. And they're also thinking about putting in at least one sidewalk. The budget says they can't put in both, but eventually they want to put in both. And then they want to remove parking on that street because a lot of people like to park there apparently. And the resurfacing report passed. It was presented and passed, and then there was a. And I don't know, you could probably find this on the, when you go back to the meetings, when you go back and find a recorded meeting, or I imagine they'll play the updated meeting and you can listen to these meetings on CTN at 7 p.m. But there was a big thing about different types of signals, like different types of crosswalk signals, APSs, hawk signals, just signs and what warrants them. And I didn't get everything what warrants them because, well, it was a lot. But I think everything was explained about crosswalks and that whole thing. And nothing new in the updates from AATA or anything like that. And I will mention again tonight the sidewalk issues from that were happening up there with the crosswalks, or not the crosswalks, the sidewalks that Rosanisa was talking about having obstructions all over them. Where was this in Ward 3, by the way, Rosanita? Where is this most commonly seen?
Most commonly, it's off of Washtenaw Avenue, near like Whole Foods and Dollar Tree and Kroger's, because that's where.
Oh yeah, I got it. I know it from personal experience. We got it.
Yeah, and then also in some of the side streets in that area, the actual residential streets, some of them are being left there, and you know, I'm not a fan of punitive measurements for it, but I do think that the city kind of needs to come up with some sort of plan as we move more and more towards public transportation and active mobility.
I would agree with you. I now that you told me the area, I'm very familiar with it. So, thank you.
Did you run into one too by mistake?
What I've been in that area I go on and off there for several times since I was young, and yeah, I have done that quite a bit, even with the cane, because you put it on one side and it'll come up on the other side. So yeah, no, I'm real familiar with it.
Yeah, they're just abandoning them there, like not even on the grass, but like on the sidewalk itself, or blocking the bus shelter. The entrance to the bus shelter has been blocked before too.
Yep, they do it around here too. So okay.
And even like the motorized wheelchair version of the grocery cart that got left in the middle of the sidewalk once also.
Commissioner Mozak?
Mhm.
I just wanted to add to the conversation because I'm curious as to how all this will play out. And my reason for saying that is the carts are owned by businesses that are publicly owned. They're not with the city. And I know that the sidewalks are on city property unless it's owned by MDOT or whatever. So I would be interested to find out what type of intervention the city could even do at all, because these are businesses, you know what I'm saying? And I do also know that, what this conversation is playing into a something that's near and dear to my heart, which is public housing and folks who are marginalized and low income. And a lot of times those carts are being used by folks who have no other way to get their items home. So I know that happens a lot. And I would not want to penalize or in any way harm folks who only have certain ways. And I know that it doesn't sound wonderful that, somebody wants to take a grocery cart off of grocery property, but we know that it happens all the time, right? Especially the Kroger on Plymouth Road, over by where is that? It's near North Campus over there. But this conversation, I think, is bigger than just the simple thing that carts are in the way. It's a lot broader. And I just wanted to bring that up and also find out, how do we move forward from here?
That is interesting.
Commissioner
No, I completely agree. It's part of why I made sure to bring it up to Councilmember Ghazi Edwin, partly because I know that she's helped with talking with OSI about creating bulk buy programs in the past. But also, like, I didn't want to say here that because I do know that one of the who left, or potentially, like, who some of the users are of these cards. And my hope was that maybe there was something that could be done with, because some of the housing is actually owned by the city, that it could be where the city might provide them with some type of, cart themselves, if they are within public housing. But for some people, it's not that they're in public housing, it's just that it's a lot easier to get the grocery cart to the bus stop and then abandon it at the bus stop and then, kind of make it home. And so if there were like a bulk buy program or something to make it easier for them to be able to get a cart, that you would normally have had in a larger city than Ann Arbor. Like if you're in DC, Boston, New York, you may have had one of those.
Well, I'm at the other end of it too. I've been injured tripping over those things, so I don't care whether you're homeless or not. If I bump my head onto one or fall on the ground, it hurts. I don't care who left it there or why.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a bigger issue than just that, because there's systemic issues involved as well. Like I said, I just brought it up to her because I didn't want it to be made into something punitive, and it does belong to the to the private businesses.
Commissioner Buis?
Just a comment to say that the business stakeholders may also have interest in coming to the table to talk about this. Those shopping carts are not cheap. And I know that they very much don't like it when they leave property. And if I'm not mistaken, I did see signs at the Kroger on Plymouth Road that they will prosecute. And so just thinking that it is a larger problem than it seems on the surface, and there may be opportunity to involve some of our other community members as well.
Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate it. In the interest of time, I'm sorry we're gonna move forward with the next agenda item, but I do appreciate the dialogue on this very important topic. And Larry, I encourage you, please, keep us updated on this. And if it continues to be a rising issue, then we should, discuss what a good course of action could be. Next, we have the U of M Council for Disability Concerns meeting update. I believe Kennedy Commissioner Solomon is not with us this evening.
No,
However,
Commissioner Solomon is not present with us this evening. However, Commissioner Mozak did provide the meeting minutes and the presentations and documents, and that was sent out to the commission.
yes, I was just about to say that, so thank you. And also, I did attend the meeting as well, but I'll leave it to Commissioner Mozak to give that report if they would like to. Thank you.
No, I'll pass. I wasn't prepared to give a report. I just know that it was important to have the documentation and I had received it, so I just sent it on. So I don't have that fresh in my mind, Zach, so you're free to go.
Oh, great. Well, and thank you both, Kennedy and Kathleen, for your assistance on that. So I did have an opportunity to attend the April Council for Disability Concerns meeting, and I have to tell you that Karina Moore, the Deputy Director of the University of Michigan Office of Undergraduate Admissions, did attend and gave a great presentation, sort of the overview of the admissions office and sort of the scope of their work, what their responsibility is in terms of recruitment and admittance of the undergraduate class, and that they work to reach out to prospective students and their families through events and different emails and different things. And, they serve over 60,000 visitors for tours and information sessions. And then they have on-campus programming, again, prospective and admitted students and families. And so they talked about sort of the application review process and that they have received close to 100,000 applications as of last year for admission to the University of Michigan. Again, they talked a little bit more about the recruitment process and how they work with students who reach out to them. And most engagement happens through on-campus programming. But they said that they do offer virtual and recorded information sessions and virtual live Q&As as well. And so they are also do their best to visit high schools in the fall. And their goal is to visit every high school in the state at least every third year. So for programming and things that they do at the University of Michigan, they do have a RSVP that asks questions about accessibility to ensure everyone who does RSVP to these events has the accessibility that they need. And they say most of these requirements are for ASL interpreters or individuals that have wheelchair accessibility. So I was glad to hear that for the programming that they do at U of M for prospective and undergraduate students, that they do have that accessibility option there. Let's see. Yeah, and then they talk a lot about what they do at the Office of Undergraduate Admission. They talk about steps to make their offerings more accessible. And so they're going to, they say that students are able to ask about if the university can provide any accommodations to participants that might have any dietary restrictions, wheelchair access, parking accommodations, ASL interpretation, cart services or closed captioning, or limited travel availability. And U of M offers limited travel grant access, which allows for students who have financial difficulties to visit, which means they can give a gas card or a bus ticket or even a one-night hotel stay. So they also talked about some of the most common kind of accommodation requests that they get from students and how are they handled by the department. They said a lot of the requests that they get in terms of accessibility for undergraduate admission events is dietary requests for programs that include a meal. And so to do this, they run basically a survey by the person who requests an accommodation, and they have that person kind of further explain what their dietary needs are to confirm that they can sort of fulfill that request ahead of time. And then they receive a request for every event that has a meal, and they're able to accommodate. As far as wheelchairs, basically, if there are, is a wheelchair request, the university offers several wheelchairs that has wheelchairs at the office of accommodations to anyone who needs them, and they encourage for individuals to communicate that in advance. They also talked about accessible parking, and that the university will pay for accessible parking for families who are visiting as admitted students, and it is not paid for non-admitted visitors, unfortunately. But they do also offer ASL interpreters by request. And they said, as of right now, only 2 requests for interpreters were for the past year for the undergraduate admission events, but they do their best to make sure that interpreters do attend. Other than that, they were asked about some different accessibility resources, and they talked about the accessibility office for students with disabilities and a bunch of other resources as well that they wanted to talk about. That the rest of that is all in the Council for Disability Concerns report. So please feel free to review that. But that is in a nutshell what the University of Michigan Council for Disability Concerns presentation was for the undergraduate admissions. Thank you.
Chair Damon, you're muted.
Thank you. Moving forward, now we have the organizational equity report with our city ADA coordinator, Tracy Bird. Tracy?
Sorry, I'm having some computer issues today and I don't have a camera. This is Tracy. Just wanted to let you know I have nothing to report this month.
No problem. But thank you, Tracy, for all of your work that you're doing. And please continue to let us know if the commission can assist you in any way. Next, we have the city personnel report with Kennedy.
Hello, everyone. I also have no reports or updates at this time.
All righty. Thank you, Kennedy. I wanted to actually, we're moving to the chair report, and I wanted to talk about mention a little bit a street closure resolution that was brought to my attention by our city ADA coordinator. I was, grateful that this was brought to my attention in terms of some things that, could be, beneficial to the commission in terms of, some ways in which, we can kind of rectify this. I wanted to mention too that this resolution to kind of approve the street closures for restaurant and retail use, this was actually proposed, if I'm correct, Tracy, this was sort of proposed pre-COVID and then implemented now as things are sort of coming back. But what I understand is that now that this approval of the downtown street closures continues to happen for restaurants and retail use, it's now kind of an accessibility hindrance to those in the community in terms of getting to their employment locations that are downtown, and also just getting to their engagements that are downtown. It's causing, I think, a little bit of accessibility issue there. And I wanted to see if, Tracy, if you wanted to speak a little bit more on that before I continued.
Sure. I will briefly talk. My past employment, I knew that there were some issues. I worked for the ride and their paratransit department. And specifically, there were some individuals who worked at a coffee shop that were not able to be dropped off on a street that was open and safely navigate to their place of employment. I have actually contacted the supervisor for paratransit services at the ride, and I asked them that if they heard of any complaints from riders or drivers for this issue, if they would feel comfortable in either having the customer call me directly, or maybe they could contact me to let me know, just so we can keep contact or keep an idea if this is happening. I also contacted the manager of that particular business to see if there was any accommodations or adjustments that I could assist in making for that store's employees.
Vice Chair Keeler?
Yes, and I'd like to just comment that I would, I have a lot of accessibility issues, especially on Main Street. Or I think I know the coffee shop you're talking about too, and I also have heard complaints from the different folks taking AAATA and using riding the ride about accessibility issues down there and how they can't drop off where they need to drop off. But some of the accessible issues I have is, you know, when you go down there, people don't push in their chairs. The tables are stuffed at sometimes weird angles. Then you go out to go, okay, around them and into the street. And I get around good, for those who know me. I get around very well. But it's kind of hard when the business is down there, and of course they can't entirely help it because you got, you know, customers involved too. But it turns it into a pleasant, and I do like eating outside on occasion. I think that's pleasant. But I also find that trying to get from one place to another can become very difficult, even within a block, when you have to go through what basically turns into a maze.
Yeah, absolutely, Larry. Thank you for that feedback. I mean, you know, this resolution, folks, just for the record, goes all the way back to 2020 in terms of resolution R-20-194. And of course, it was originally approved to promote the healthy street closures for restaurant and retail use during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, you know, it's my opinion that this particular resolution is just sort of a bit kind of, you know, like kind of outdated. And so I wanted to ask the commission's opinion on this particular, you know, closure. I mean, is there a way that we can maybe write something on behalf of CODI that can sort of suggest an adjustment to this? And I see we have a comment, so I'll pause here. Commissioner Radcliffe.
Well, I mean, I'm right there with you on that, because I know cities across the US did that during COVID because it was considered safer to eat outside in the open air, and it helped so that restaurants and coffee shops wouldn't close down completely during COVID and COVID restrictions. And now it's just kind of also considered kind of a part of placemaking, which is on the economic development, one of the 4 economic development resolutions that passed a couple of council meetings ago. And I think that CODI needs to play a more active role in how city planning is being handled at the get-go, instead of trying to rectify it later. I do know that it's an issue, I've seen it, but I had a question. Do we have a direct email address where we get complaints from people? Because as great as it is for you know, Tracy Bird or AAATA to receive the complaints, or Commissioner Keeler to hear from someone, I think that us receiving those complaints in writing to be able to discuss them at the CODI meetings would be really helpful. And I know that we actually do that at Renters Commission. We have like we get several letters. We also have a dedicated newsletter as well. It's a whole other issue. That's a side issue. I know.
Vice Chair Keeler and then Tracy Byrd.
I am just going to speak about this. We do need something to, I feel we need something to almost fight back, because it seems that the climate of maybe City Hall, but especially, coming up in the Transportation Commission is, yes, we're going to close all the streets. We're going to go for healthy streets. We're going to put all we seem to be, well, we're going to be going against the grain here. So we're going to need a lot of assistance to try to get this result, because they're also going to want to put speed bumps in the streets, and they want to put bike lanes and dividers between bike lanes. So this is a big issue all around. It's starting with the sidewalk issue, but it can be, what seems to be on the plan for the city of Ann Arbor appears to, it doesn't seem like all the accessibility issues have been looked at efficiently and hammered out. I think that we definitely are going to need to figure out what to do about that.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate your feedback. Tracy?
Tracy?
Yep.
Yes. So to answer your question, Commissioner Ratcliffe, that you're absolutely right that, we need to plan for things versus be reactive. And that is something that in the last 6 months that I've been working on, and actually have been, I don't want to say somewhat successful, but I've been working with several different departments who are bringing our office in on the conversation beforehand. So it's not something that's an immediate, but it is something that is being worked on. And as far as the capital improvements the city does, actually the Office of Organizational Equity, DAO, does have a seat at the table, and that accessibility is one of the scoring points for any project. So of course, and I will keep you all abreast on how this flows and how it works out. So I do want to let you know that while there is not something that is immediately happening, it is in the works.
Commissioner Ratcliffe?
Right, like, what is it? I know that you have done, and like you jumped in with both feet, all hands, and it seems like another pair of hands as well, within this position, which I greatly appreciate. But it's also that what I've noticed from watching certain other commission meetings, which isn't at the city staff level, is where some of these issues come into play. When it comes to like things from the planning, like buildings from the planning commission that get recommended, there's accessibility issues when what's coming from the transportation commission. Again, we're finding some of those issues, and it's not, and city council still will approve it because there isn't someone, at a city council meeting necessarily saying it either, which it's very hard to catch everything on the agendas coming up ahead of time sometimes as well. But I think maybe, and this is just a suggestion, that we do take time in another meeting, dedicated time, maybe not have a presentation, and really talk about some of the issues and how we can move forward, Commissioner Damon, because I know we're running out of time.
Yeah, we are. Unfortunately, folks, we're definitely short of time here. But I think, items like this are still, definitely important. Tracy, you have a question.
I did not make it. I just want to make another comment that yes, there is an ADA complaint procedure on the city's website. Currently, if you go to, I believe, Kodai's page, you can find that. So there is, any complaints then will come to me. I will make sure that is part of my job to you all is to inform you, because you're right. It does take, as they say, it takes a village. It takes many hands and feet and people and voices to get problems and issues resolved. So I thank you all for your work and your dedication and volunteering your time for this. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. And I think it's best to Commissioner Radcliffe, as you said, I would like to revisit this resolution R-20-194. I would like us to sort of, see where we can go on this in terms of, implementing a change from this and seeing how, we can work with the city on that. What does everybody think about that?
I agree.
Okay. Kennedy, I'll be sure to make sure that we put resolution R-20-194 on our agenda to discuss this in a future meeting. All right. I am going to conclude my chair report now. Council member already did their city council update. So now we are to old business. Do we have any old business, Kennedy?
Before we do that, Vice Chair Kaler, you have your hand up?
Oh, my hand was just, I would fully be interested in continuing the earlier conversation. And secondly, could a copy of that resolution be sent to me?
Yes, Kennedy, could we send that to the full commission, a link to that resolution?
You're able to email me the resolution's title. I'm able to look it up and I can send it to everyone.
Yeah, I will do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As for old business, we have no current old business. It's on the agenda.
All right. Any new business, Kennedy?
Currently, there is no new business on the agenda.
All right. Any additional communications from anyone?
Just me. The transportation meeting is at 7 tonight. And it is on CTN, broadcasted on CTN in case anybody wants to watch it.
Commissioner Radcliffe?
Tomorrow at 7:30 is the Renters Commission meeting. So feel free to, watch that. And also, since I had a connectivity issue, I don't know if Councilmember Ghazi Edwin mentioned it, but her Ward 3 coffee hour is on Sunday at 10 a.m. And their special guest is Chief Anderson, the new police chief. And I know we wanted to have him here at the Kodai meeting, but it's another opportunity to meet him in person.
Commissioner Mozak?
Yes, I just wanted to mention that the local advisory council for the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority is changing up their meeting dates. This month, they're meeting April 23rd on Tuesday. They are having a hybrid meeting, in person and virtual. I believe it's at 2 p.m., but you can go to their website at theride.org if you're interested.
I will be reapplying for that soon too, so you guys will have another board member maybe.
All right. Any other communications? All right. Well, with that, it is 5:58. And do we have a motion to adjourn this evening?
I'll move to adjourn.
With Larry.
She moves
All
to
right,
adjourn.
Larry.
Is there a second?
I'll second that, Larry.
All right, Rob seconds. All in favor of adjourning on April 17th at 5:59. Please unmute and say aye.
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 All right.
And the
folks.
dog says aye too, because he has to go to the can.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I know it was a long meeting, but I think we covered great things. Want to thank the city of Ann Arbor.
Recording stopped.
Want to thank the Community Television Network. Thank you, everyone, for all of your service. Have a good day.
Bye.